Well, what a day. I don't know about you, but that was not only inspiring, but both informative and challenging. Um, yeah, so I mean, where to even start? I mean, it's been a fantastic day. We've had a brilliant host of speakers and of uh, a fantastic host of speakers, contributors, and that last session was nothing short but of genius. It was lovely to see so many ideas coming together and translating in that way. So this morning we heard from Heather, Anne and James, who discussed how the pandemic had delivered significant changes to the esports sector, I was going to call it the e-sector, and the impact that hiatus had in live sports and what it's led to. And we heard how esports explored the evolving relationships between organisers, players, audiences, and advertisers to gauge what we, needed, what is needed, for the sector to survive and to thrive. So from me personally, when I've reflected on this year, I think it's been a year, obviously, that of course has challenged us all, and some of our natural coping mechanisms have meant that we've all kind of retreated into our own creative bubbles and perhaps missing and less engaging directly with some of the different forms, creative forms that are happening, and all the wonderful ways that researchers have continued to keep informing us on how we are responding in real time. And with reflection, and I found that incredibly fascinating. I've been fascinated by our responses, and I feel like as an industry, today's really shown me how resilient we are and how much has been going on actually in separate pots. I mean, for me, I actually, as I mentioned earlier, VR had been something that had come up many times in the past, but actually I found myself reconnecting with it in lockdown. I found myself reconnecting with theatre via online platforms, and again the same with music. So I'm really pleased actually at how impressed really that resilient we have been as an industry, and especially when we're coming up with quite innovative ways to create during so much times of uncertainty. And of course, if you think about speaking to peers and some of those in your direct networks, it's been a really, really hard time. There's been cuts, there's been budget cuts, there's been job losses, and actually today's kind of reminded me that while we have had quite a tough time, there's also been some really incredible creation and collaboration, which is actually very, very encouraging. We learned through audience research, didn't we, that the music industry, although being hit hard during COVID, has actually shown how valuable it is to an audience, that even during times of financial worry, we're still happy to pay for our musical experiences, whether that's online or otherwise. And unique events like the Love Record stores that saw the music retail industry boosted by £1 million proves this, as had, I think, the role in social media, which is the role it's played in providing opportunities for musicians being able to share their art. Nilay Patel, I was particularly struck by from Digital Theatre today, when he explained how the 300% increase in audiences using their platform, including not just in homes but also in schools, meant that we can feel secure that the UK has actually disproportionately advanced their move into tech-based learning, and this could change the way that we educate for the foreseeable quite dramatically. And for someone that's really motivated by inclusion, I think that that's going to provide a much more inclusive digital world. One of the things that it does always flag up to me, and I'd love to see how we see this explored over the next couple of days, is how some of the work that happens at Digital Theatre, how that relationship with secondary schools has absolutely been brilliant. But also I think 2020 has forced a lot of the older generation to get online and learning in that way. So I wonder how much more accessible we can become as a digital industry for audiences of all ages. I think The Tempest demonstrates beautifully divergence and how multiple forms of art and creation can engage audiences in a multitude of ways, and still touching us emotionally. And I thought that was actually quite nice that we heard that so much throughout that session, how actually there was still the experience and an opportunity to create that one-to-one moment. I think that's brilliant. And as you would have just seen, the Story Fellows, I think, highlights just how business, research and creators can come together successfully and create scalable, profitable and authentic propositions, much of which transcends age. Which means that we are actually introducing audiences at all stages in their life to the support that's available. I think the sheer number of questions that we had in those last sessions, which was quite a lengthy and chunky session, demonstrates just how valuable actually Story Futures programme is. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of our contributors today. Suddenly there seems to be something really positive in the air, and to hear and to experience and to see. And it's just how, and I think that's demonstrated just how important actually the creative industries, thinkers and research has been in this year. And I think we're certainly building back better if today's anything to go by. Right, well I've said so many things, I've been speaking at 100 miles an hour and I can't believe it's already the end of day one, and we found out all the different ways in which the creative sector has responded to the research we have, and significantly what challenges will be permanent and what opportunities have arisen. I look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow, where we have another day filled with expert contributions looking at the disruption that was already happening, which I'm particularly interested in, the genres that were already converging. Again, I can't wait to hear a little bit more about that, and there's tons tomorrow. I'll come to that in just a second. And of course, and the new types of experiences that are emerging. But don't rush off. You know, there is opportunity to network and mingle in the Storyfellow Lounge, as Christina quite rightly pointed out at the end of her session. But that just leaves me to thank you all very much for joining us today and wishing you a lovely evening. And I'll see you all again tomorrow at the same time. Bye for now.